there. Thanks so much for stopping by. My name is Lori Staley. I'm the Addicted Stamper with Stampin' Up, and I've been a demonstrator in the United States for over 17 years. Today I have a fun project that I want to share with you using, of all things, toilet paper. I know, that sounds a little crazy, and a year ago this might not have been the best technique to share with you, but I think we're in a better place now, so I think that we have access to toilet paper, and you could have some for your craft stash. Now there's a phrase I bet you never thought you'd say. Before we get started, I want to share with you this early product release that Stampin' Up is offering, the Butterfly Bouquet. So the stamps and the dies will actually be in the new annual catalog launching on May 3rd. But they've put a collection together that not only includes the stamps and the dies, which you can buy individually, or you can purchase the bundle and get the 10% discount, but they've also added in two great designer series papers. One is a wood grain that has a slate sheen on it, and it is really pretty. You get two 12 by 12 sheets in that pack, and it's kind of like a birch color. But then we also have the 6 by 6 designer series paper, and that is Butterfly Bijou. And I just want to share those papers with you in case you haven't had a chance to see them. It is a 48 paper pack, and so you get 8 sheets of each of the double-sided 6 patterns. We have the butterflies in Bermuda Bay and Gorgeous Grape, and then we have some Bermuda Bay camo. There is a beautiful grouping of butterflies in all the shades. And did you know that a grouping of butterflies is called a kaleidoscope? I did not know that. Stampin' Up actually shared that information with us. And then we have some pink camo. These remind me of monarch butterflies, which are my favorites. And these also, some of these little images also coordinate with the butterfly duet punch. So that's pretty cool. If you get the bundle, you have the dies that will work with some of these papers, and you have a punch that you may already own. Calypso coral pattern. Bermuda Bay and Flirty Flamingo, I think, butterflies. And then a really cool Bermuda Bay, just a nice solid pattern back there. This one you can cut out with the large die, all in one fell swoop. This is one single die, just like our stamp is one single stamp. Cut those out, use them individually, group them on a project, but then you also have the sides here that you can do some cool things. You could even use the back side of the paper that's left over for punch outs or small die cuts, or you could do some fun edging on a card. And then there is our rainbow of butterflies along with another pattern that reminds me of a sky. So very pretty paper. If you are thinking about grabbing this, I would recommend doing it sooner rather than later. The offer itself is available until May 3rd, but I believe these papers that are not carrying over into the annual catalog are only available while supplies last. So that one could very well sell out. All right, let me show you the project that we're going to be making today. And as I said, it is made using toilet paper. Crazy, I know. So we've got our cute little hen on here, and she is on a wobble. Wobbles are all the rage right now and have been for a little while in the paper crafting world. But this is the star of our show, and this is our toilet paper background. So that's what I'm going to share with you how to do today. Let's get started. I'm going to grab my kit. Now we are going to start with the toilet paper because we're going to make that wet to get that really nice impression. And I want to let that set aside to dry. Okay, so you really only need 1.5 squares to do this, to fit that piece. But you know what? I know, a year ago, again, we wouldn't have been doing this. But I'm going to use 2 full squares because it's just easier for me to fold where the perforations are. We're getting 4 layers, okay? And I am trying to keep my sides as even as I can while I do that. And then I can just kind of tug and it breaks at the perforation. We're going to set that aside. I'm going to grab a Stampin' Mister. This is just filled with regular water. And you know what? Let me bring in a piece of wax paper because we are going to be spraying. I just want to protect my work surface. And you can use that wax paper over and over. Oh, my mister has a squeak. Do you hear that? Now, I'm not soaking the paper by any means, but I do want it to be nice and damp so that when we put it into our tin tile embossing folder, we get a good impression. And I am putting it in so that the last piece, where there's no fold, right, is at the bottom. So you can see it does hang over. Again, 1.5 square width works fine, but it's easier for me just to do the 2. And I'm also keeping this a little bit down in the pattern because the channel here, or the crease, if you will, doesn't really have the pattern in it. And I want to make sure that the full piece is embossed. So I have my Stampin' die cut and embossing machine sitting to my left. I'm going to run this through, and that is certainly a mouthful, isn't it? Stampin' die cut and embossing machine. Holy cow. Craziness. I actually usually call it the boss, and I hear a lot of demonstrators doing that. It takes too long to say Stampin' Up die cutting and embossing machine. So let me show you what that looks like. So you get a really nice deep impression, and I do think that the 3D folders work better. And you can go embossed side or debossed, whichever. I think the embossed side works better for this technique, but I may try the debossed side today. We'll see. And actually on both sides you have some embossed and some debossed. So I'm going to lay this aside to dry while we work on the rest of our project. So I did a little pre-work, just a little bit. I have a piece of real red cardstock folded and creased and scored at 4 1/4, so it's a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock. I did go ahead and run a 5 1/4 by 4 piece through the die cutting and embossing machine with the subtle embossing folder. So we have that. I have my real red square that we're going to need. That looks a little rough on the edge, but we're going to go with it. And I'm going to grab my layering squares framelits. These are amazing. There's 19 framelits in here. And we're going to cut one of the scalloped squares out of the basic gray. Back over to the boss. Now, if you are just getting started with die cutting, I would recommend that if you're looking for geometric shapes, the best die set that you can buy to start out with is the Stitch Shapes dies. And the reason I say that is because in that particular pack of dies, you receive circles, ovals, and squares. So you get a lot for your money. I think there's either 3 or 4 layers on each geometric shape. And you will find over time that you are more a circles person than a squares person, or an oval person than a circle person. And then you can go back and invest in the layering dies. I mean, these are fabulous to have, and it gives you tons and tons of matting options. They're great for paper crafters of all types, scrapbookers, home decor projects, whatever. I just think that it helps you to have all the options available, and the easiest way to do that is with the Stitch Shapes. But don't disregard the layerings because they're fabulous too. We're going to build up our little square set here. Get that ready. I have a seal that is fighting me. And I do love our new seal. The adhesive is fabulous. You can pull pieces apart if you need to, you know, within a reasonable amount of time when you're creating, but if you've let it sit for a while, it's really hard to pull these pieces apart. All right, so there is our squares. We have that part ready. We are going to stamp our chicken and give him a little bit of love with some color. He is coming out of the Hey Chick stamp set. This was the stamp set that was part of Celebration a few years back, and then they released it when they introduced the Hey Birthday Chick in the new, well, in the current mini catalog, the January through June mini catalog, and they brought die sets for both, and the die sets are amazing. But we're going to stamp him in Memento. Him, she's a her, it's a hen. I don't know why I called her a him. You know, I have that same problem with cats and dogs, and I think because growing up, our dogs were all male and our cats were all female. So my brother has the sweetest dog, but I constantly call the dog a him, and it's actually a her. And even though I've been corrected 1,000 times, I still call it a him. All right, so we're going to do a little basic gray right on all these cute little detail marks. This is the light, and I said basic gray, and I meant Smoky Slate. This is the light. And just a little bit to just make sure that that stands out. And then I have some light Mango Melody for the little beak. And that is a tiny little beak. And then I'm also going to just put some on her dancing feet here. Doesn't she look like she's ready to go dancing? All right, and then we'll do her comb. Right there. All right, so that's really all the coloring you have to do on this stamp. I'm going to pull out the die set. So I'll give you a little trick. I don't know about you, but when I'm playing with these two chicken sets, I'm using them, intermixing them. I took one of the flyers that was out last month when this grouping was introduced, cut it apart so that I have a picture of what die goes in what set, because otherwise I had no idea. And if the day comes when it retires and I decide to, you know, sell it, one of my BOGO deals, I want to make sure I have all the right dies in the right set. So that is what's happening here. Oh, I found her. She's not in there. I got a little worried, but she was over in my little bowl I keep my dies in. So I have one of these in each of the sets, so it tells me which dies are in that particular set. It's about the only way I can get everything to go back in place with that. So we're going to die cut this, and I am going to use a Post-it note, I think, to hold it in place as I run it through the die cutting machine. But the chicken sets are really cute, and they're very popular. So they're also a fairly good investment. I just saw the cutest crocheted pot holders, chicken pot holders. They were so cute. Now I'm looking for the pattern. Okay, let's see how we did. Oh, we did good. She is cute. There's some strong Post-it notes I have there this morning. Okay. Well, it might be afternoon where you are. All right, so we have her done. We are going to go ahead and stamp the inside of our card. So let me grab that piece. This whole time I'm hoping that that's drying nicely for us. Now the stamps I'm using for the inside all came out of the Happy Birthday Chick set, right? So again, some more cute images, but this one and this one all look like they should tie together. So we're going to use her on the inside of the card along with the Happy Birthday and Let's Celebrate You. And we're going to stamp in red the greetings. Then we'll stick a happy birthday down here. Cute. And we're going to bring in this girl. She's definitely dancing. She is ready for the party. Do that in Memento again because we are coloring with the blends. And the blends are my favorite coloring tool right now. Just because they are so easy to use and you can get such great shading with them. Although when you're doing something small like this, the shading may or may not be the thing you're going for. But again, I'm going to bring in those same colors, the light Mango Melody, this is her foot up here, believe it or not, so we're just going to put a little bit right there. And we'll do some of our red. Oh no, why did I put that mango away? I need that for her beak, don't I? Okay. There we go. And then again, I am going to use the Smoky Slate just to accentuate those detail marks. I love that Stampin' Up! Provides detail marks or accent marks in our stamps because it really does make it easy to know where to add some color. Yeah, I always say, I am not artistic, the stamps are. I just can follow along pretty well. There we go. All right. So we can go ahead and mount that to the inside of our card. And if you're new to the blends, don't worry, they are meant to bleed through our basic white. They are our alcohol markers if you're not familiar with them. They blend beautifully. And you can use the light and the dark of one color, or you can mix in more colors, and it really, really does make it look very artistic. Let's go ahead, because we're just about ready to pull in our embossed piece. But we're going to put our wobble on the back of our hen and then get her mounted onto the square when the time comes. So wobbles, as I said, they're like a little plastic spring. They're very, very popular right now. The hardest part of using the wobbles is getting the paper backing off because they are self-adhesive on both sides. I put the thinner side, and I don't know if you can actually see that or not, but the thin side is more like just paper, and this is actually a little bit like hard plastic. So I choose to put the thin side on the chick, but seriously, this is the toughest part, and sometimes it goes easy and sometimes it doesn't. The one on the thin piece is split, just like the backing on our stamps, on our stickers for our stamps, I should say. Got that side off, and we're going to just put that in the center back of our chicken. Okay, just like that. And then we're going to try to get, there we go. Not too bad this day I'm working. There we go. All right, so we have our cute little wobble with our cute little hen on there. We're going to set that aside. Let's pull back in our embossed piece and see how we're doing. Okay, that's pretty nice and dry. I like that. Again, it will depend on how much water you mixed it with, right? The more water, the longer it's going to take to dry. I'm going to use basic gray to accentuate the tiles. And we're going to go on this side. You can choose whichever side you like. Oh, but you know what? Let's bring the wax paper back in here for now. It's not wet on that side. And because I don't want to get the gray ink on my mat. So I'm just going to drag. We're going to start dragging. And you can do this on your full background if you want to, like a full 5 1/4 by 4 piece. But I was just really looking for an accent. And then you can almost do a little pouncing, right? If you want it to get darker. We actually made this card at a team meeting I had a couple weeks ago. I think my team liked it. All right, I think that looks good. All right, so it is fairly, I mean, you can drag and you can put a little bit of pressure on it and it's not going to tear apart on you. I wouldn't pull it like you were pulling taffy or anything. This is going to be wet as well. So what I did in advance, and I don't know if the camera will pick up the difference, I took the piece, the size, and I have it outlined in tear and tape. So all 4 sides close to the edge, and then I did 2 in the center to keep it from buckling or bowing, if you will. So I'm going to let that sit and dry while I get off the tear and tape backing. I tell you what, I don't know, and I say this probably in every live event or video that I do, I don't know what I did before this Take Your Pick tool, because I use it for so much. Well, I have several in my studio because I'm just constantly reaching for it. And I mean, I'm sure if you've ever done tear and tape, I've got some paper scrap there. You know, sometimes you can fight with that all day long, trying to make it work, right? I'm going to put this back down just in case it's still wet. The ink is still wet. We are going to mount this on the back. And we're doing this so we have some substance to it, right? You cannot cut this on a paper cutter. No matter how much you try, it will just kind of shred for you. I'm lining it up on one edge. It just is going to save me some trimming. You could put it right in the center if that's what you wanted to do. But we are going to trim this off now, right along the cardstock. Plus, this now gives us a backing to apply our adhesive to when we want to mount this to our card. There we go. And this is, of course, well, you could do something with that little strip if you wanted to, but I'm just going to toss that. All right. We're coming in on the home stretch. So I have some of our black glitter ribbon. I love this. It's perfect for Halloween too, isn't it? We're going to put some adhesive right here on the back so that we can tack this down. And I'm shooting for the center or close to it. It doesn't have to be exact. We're going to go ahead and mount this now because we're going to wrap it around the Whisper White on this side. So we need to add more adhesive. And bring this in, you know what? The reason I did that is I saw a mark under here and I didn't want that to show. So now I am thinking I'm straight. Let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we're going to tape that down because you know we have all that tear and tape on the bag. If we don't get it right on the first try, we're not getting it straight, right? We know that we cannot pull tear and tape, and especially when it's attached to a thin backing that then has the toilet paper attached to it. Okay, so we can mount this to our card front now. And again, I'd like to try to get that straight in one shot. I think we're good. Yeah. And then I put our chicken on. Now, we have this extra layer in here, right? So this is kind of going to be floating up in the air. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some adhesive on the left side, and then I'm going to go with 2 mini dimensionals, 1 in each corner, to balance out that height difference. And you could put a third one in the middle if you wanted to. You don't have to just go with the 2. All right. I might put a little more adhesive on that though. There we go. And before I press it down, I'll make sure all is straight. All right, so there is our little chick with her wobble. And then on the inside, we have that for our cute greeting. This will mail fine. You can slide this into a regular envelope. She just gets pressed down, and then, of course, when the recipient takes it out of the envelope, she'll pop up and dance for him. I want to show you just a couple other ones that I made. Excuse me. I made on my Facebook Live. I do have a Facebook page, Lori Staley, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I go live on there 3 times a week. So you're welcome to check that out. I go live Sunday nights at 8, Tuesdays at 2, and that's kind of a tipper technique live. And then Thursday morning at 10, I do coffee and cards. But these were ones that we did on the live. This is all tissue paper in the background. That, of course, was one of the celebration items. A little sparkle there with Wink of Stella. And then our beautiful seashells background. And I did a little bit of extra sponging on that to get the variation in the shading. Again, that was toilet paper. And then I took the Old World paper embossing folder and turned it on its side, right? Normally we see it like this, with this orientation of the embossed image, but I turned it on its side because I thought it looked like streamers. So, there you go. Those are the projects that I made in my Facebook Live. Here is our chicken, and all those backgrounds are done with toilet paper. Who knew, right? Who knew you could do such cool things? All right, folks. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. I'll be back next Monday with a new Make It Monday. And if you do not have a current demonstrator that you're working with in the U.S., I would love to help you on your stamping journey. You can reach out to me for catalogs, and if you're ready to place an order, my website is addictedstamper.stampinup.net, and here's my March hostess code. All my orders that go in on that code for the month get entered into a drawing for a free Happy Mail from me, and if it is your first time putting an order in with me, you will receive a welcome gift. So again, thanks for watching. Until I see you again, be safe, be happy. Thanks. Bye.